What up, world? Good morning. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles on to the Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. Great day to be an Eagles fan. Welcome to the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the beautiful, now temperate, but still chilly confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check the show out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Substack, Patreon, Podbean, and as well as on Trovo. This episode, guys, is going to be detailing the NFC Championship Game, the reaction video. I was partying kind of hard last night, so I didn't really get a chance. I did a quick little video to commemorate and talk about it, but was pretty much getting a lot of intel and news and notes from, post-game news conferences, a lot of things that unpack in this episode, so I'm definitely going to be talking about that. But before I continue, I want to definitely make sure I give my friends of the show a shout out. That would be StubHub and Viagogo. Right now, especially Eagles fans, if you got time, energy, finances, and the resources to get to the game, Chiefs fans, you got the money, time, and resources to get to the game, this will be this time. Check out StubHub. Links will be in the description of this video. You'll be able to get the link to the big game. There's going to be a lot of other links too. Also, if any of you guys out there are Bad Bunny fans that watch the show, he has a residency in Las Vegas now. Tickets for that. Also, as like I said on Viagogo, there's a comedy tour right now in the UK. Like I said, Ricky Gervais, Jimmy Carr, a lot of different acts. So definitely a lot of things to unpack. A lot of events, definitely are happening right now. So for the best live shows, concerts, tickets, and events, definitely check out StubHub, the place again for live concerts, tickets, and events. Again, getting into this episode though, guys, what a fucking game. What a fucking game. I'm just ecstatic, to say the least. Calm, because, they've done this before. So I'm not, it's not like they haven't been here before. I'm definitely happy about that. However, the thing that really has me happy was the way they won this game. I mean, first of all, you win the game 55-23. You beat a division rival who, let's just say it for a lack of better words, they didn't really belong there. This team kind of overachieved. And that's no disrespect to Washington. I feel like Philadelphia overachieved 2 years ago by getting to the Super Bowl. I kind of feel like maybe they should have been just getting to the Super Bowl now, but I'm not going to take it from them. They got there. Just like with the Commanders, they got there. So shout out to Washington. Jay Daniels is going to be a problem going forward. He's definitely going to be a good young quarterback. Once they get him some linemen and, some running backs and, another wide receiver to pair up with Terry McLaurin, that team's going to be a problem. That team's really going to be a problem. And, defensively, they got to get the defensive backfield touched up. A couple of areas and things they're missing, but they're definitely going to be a better team even going into next year. They're really going to be a good team. Their future's bright for Washington. So, Commanders fans, though y'all got that belt put the ass yesterday, though it was a thorough ass whooping, you shouldn't really be hanging your head low. You had a great season. You weren't even supposed to be in this point. No one predicted you to be here. You beat the number one seed in the NFC. You beat the Lions at home in the playoffs. So, great year. Dan Quinn definitely is probably going to win Coach of the Year. But that being said, let's really, like I said, I just want to make sure I gave a shout out to the Commanders because they had a hell of a season. But getting into the notes of the game, was anybody besides me nervous as fuck the first drive? I mean, first of all, you got the Commanders driving downfield on an 18-play drive, which is just insane. Just to let you know how many fourth downs they converted. I believe two on that drive. So there you go. That just shows you right there that they were definitely pulling out all the stops. Was kind of shocked that they didn't go for it right there when they got stopped in the red zone. Maybe something that they're possibly regretting this morning. I'm not sure. But they took the points, and I get it. You don't want to go, you don't want to keep playing with fire. You don't want to get in the red zone at that point and don't make a move and don't score because that could definitely bite you in the ass. So I understood there, and they take the early lead 3-0. But then, Philadelphia on the next play, you got Saquon busting a big run, 60-plus yards up the field for a touchdown. And you just kind of felt like that set the tone. The tone from there was set. You knew, okay, they don't really have an answer for him. He's already got a splash play. And I thought, like I said, the Eagles brought the energy. Then you follow that up on the next drive. You got Denami Brown getting the ball. He's running across the field. You got Cooper DeJean in pursuit. Zach Bourne punches the ball out, spills out, Reed Blankenship recovers, put the Eagles in prime position. And I think what was key in this game was the fact that the Eagles had scored on all the opportunities they had when they got the turnover. When they got the turnover and they got the ball back, they scored on all those opportunities. I've said it all year, guys. I've said it throughout the postseason. I'm saying it now going into the Super Bowl. If you turn the ball over, right, you're going to lose. Especially, you can get away with it in a regular season game. You might have a game where you have like 4 or 5 turnovers, or 3 turnovers, typically 3. 4 or 5 is a little more of the abnormality, but typically if you have like 2 or 3 turnovers and you're able to win a game, that can happen. Not common, not frequent, but it can happen. 4 turnovers, it's too much. It was too much for this Commanders team to try to overcome. Then, you got the game going on, and, they pull off the fake punt. Saquon scores again, then they, on the Eagles' possession after the fumble, and then, Washington goes with the fake punt. You clearly see that Washington was trying to pull out all the stops to really win this game and do everything that they could. And I don't knock them. Again, like I said, you're trying to get to the Super Bowl. I get it. However, they didn't get a touchdown off that. They only got 3 points. You kicking field goals instead of scoring touchdowns, you're going to get your ass whipped. Then they didn't score. Terry McLaurin scores on a big touchdown. This is coming off a Jake Elliott missed field goal, which ironically was Jake Elliott's first field goal ever missed in the postseason in his career. So something to keep an eye on. But, I'll touch on that a little bit briefly later. But you pretty much were giving the Commanders were pretty much having a good game. It was 14-12 after the Terry McLaurin touchdown, 2-point game. And then the game breaks open again. You got a big 4th and 5 call, and Jalen just bombs it deep to A.J. Brown down the sidelines, and it goes for a completion, big first down, puts the Eagles right in the red zone and in the situation to score. And then penalties pretty much calls a 3rd and long, weird thing. Then you get Lattimore and A.J. Brown going at it, which again, you kind of can see that Marshawn Lattimore definitely was not healthy from the bottom stretch of the season. But I will also contend that he has no answer for A.J. Brown as far as the defensive back, playing DB is concerned, because he was just getting fucking bodied. And AJ, like I said, had a great game. He had 6 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. So not really a shock there. But on this series, essentially they used the tush push to get in the end zone. Tush push again, valuable play. They were stopped one time today, but essentially the tush push got whatever they wanted. And then to respond off that, I mean, you already, you got a little lead. It's 20-12. Kickers missed a field goal. Your 2-point conversion didn't go through. Tush push gets stopped. So kind of still in there. And then, boom, fumble on the kick return. Will Shipley hits McNichols, and that pretty much just opened the floodgates there. Eagles score a touchdown before halftime with the A.J. Brown touchdown, which, widens the gap. It's 27-12 going into halftime. Washington was able to kind of, get downfield before half to get a field goal. It was weird because starting out in the second half, you kind of worried about the Eagles offense because it looked a little stagnant. You knew Dickerson was injured, weren't sure what was going to happen with Cam Jurgens. And fucking shout out to Cam Jurgens for making sure that he definitely got out there and played. Back was fucked up. We knew he was probably not going to play. Then he was an emergency backup throughout the game. He came in and stepped in. These guys weren't 100%, but they played well. Definitely going to need these guys 100% going against Kansas City in 2 weeks, but nonetheless, got to give these guys props. Like I said, and then you figured they had to make some adjustments along the offensive line, which, Jeff Stoutland and the offense did. You get Jordan Davis, then on defense, getting a great sack on Jaden Daniels, which essentially forces, the turnover on downs. Jalen scores on a 9-yard run in the red zone, and then the floodgates essentially open. And of course, Jaden Daniels was able to get a touchdown after that, but, they fumbled again. Eagles get the ball back. Austin Eckler fumbles, the Eagles get the ball back. It just the floodgates open, the turnovers. The turnovers were one of the key. If you're Washington, it is the takeaway. You cannot turn the ball over that many times in a playoff game, let alone the NFC Championship game, and think you're still going to win. It will not happen. And then, Quinyon Mitchell securing an interception late, pretty much sealed it. Backups got in with the 5-minute mark, and, the game was pretty much out of hand. Will Shipley got a touchdown, so it was dope to see. Jalen Hurts was hella efficient. 20 of 28, 246 yards and a touchdown. I need the Jalen Hurts slander to stop. You know, I have some stats here that I'm going to post on the screen for Jalen Hurts, you know, where he's second in rushing touchdowns within his 3-year span. He's tied with Josh Allen as far as rushing touchdowns. I believe he's at 50 or 51. 2 Super Bowl appearances. He's the only guy, realistically, you know, record-wise right now in the postseason chasing Mahomes. And he doesn't have the hardware yet. You know, he's got the yards, he's got the stats. He's chasing Mahomes. And he probably will never catch Mahomes. Let's just be honest. Patrick Mahomes is probably going to end up with the fucking Tom Brady resume, you know, with multiple championships. But the reality of the situation is Jalen Hurts took a lot of slander. There were a lot of people going into this week, you know, brave and really feeling like they could really, 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 like, you know, do some damage or really, like, make headway. And I find it hilarious because, honestly, God, truth, all you kept hearing was, well, they're going to force him to throw. Do we forget that this man helped get this team to the Super Bowl 3 years ago, throwing the football? Do we forget that literally he played like one of the greatest games ever by a quarterback in a Super Bowl, like ever, 3 years ago? Did we forget that he was throwing the ball all around the yard then? You had Smitty and A.J. Brown both 100-yard passing games. People get very, very dismissive, and I get it. The big plays don't come the way people want them to. They're not splashy. They're not ultra, you know, they're not the highlight reel plays that you're atypically seeing on TV or on your phone when you're watching the highlights. But when you can gouge people on the ground, I don't think people understand. Nick Sirianni said it best. It doesn't fucking matter if we run 300 times, rush the ball for 300 yards and pass for 100. As long as we win, you go rush for 100, pass for 3. It doesn't matter. The win is all that matters. And I think Jalen Hurts took a lot of slander, a lot of ridicule, a lot of criticism, and it was fucked up. It was fucked up. It was coming from a guy who literally has been one of the most winningest quarterbacks since he's been drafted. And he's in the same class as Joe Burrow, same class as Jordan Love, same class as Justin Herbert. So, testament to that man. Second round pick, and he's literally, he's got the resume. So, and then, you know, second quarterback to lead the Eagles. First quarterback to lead the Eagles to back-to-back Super Bowls. Well, not back-to-back, but 2 Super Bowls, essentially. You know, history's on his side. History's on his side. I love this guy as far as a leader for this team and what he does for this team. I just really feel like he's been amalgamation of, like, what we really wanted Donovan McNabb to be. You know, for the Eagles fans that are out there that watch, this is what we wanted Donovan McNabb to be. And this guy has definitely done it. Kudos to Jalen Hurts. Like I said, the slander's definitely got to fucking stop. And it's more amongst Eagles fans than anything. Because I know the national media is going to have their shit. I don't even trip off that. I expect it. However, when I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, wait, these are Eagles fans saying this. These are Eagles fans, you know, coming at this man's neck because, you know, for whatever fucking reason, he's not having 300-400-yard passing games. His fantasy stats aren't up there. I don't know, but I just know this much. He wins. So I'll take that over anything. It's been a remarkable season. Saquon Barkley, I mean, again, you know, you can't even tell the story of the season of the Eagles without him. 15 carries, 118 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. You know, Jalen also as well accounted for 3 rushing touchdowns, two tush pushes, and 1 9-yard run, as I previously stated earlier. The way these young cornerbacks played, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, I love how they played. Vic Fangio, being the defensive coordinator, coached the hell out of these guys, got the best out of them. It can't be understated what Kellen Moore has done on offense. You know, Kellen Moore, I need people to remind people, Kellen Moore got fired from Dallas because Mike McCarthy told Jerry Jones he threw the ball too much. Do we really believe that that was the case? Maybe. Who knows? But I know in Philadelphia he ran the ball. So, shout out to Kellen Moore. And most importantly, shout out to the bye week. Because without that bye week, I'm not sure this team is able to put it together the way they have. They figured it out. And it was amazing to see. Amazing to see. Remarkable season. Another key note I definitely wanted to touch on was The 7 rushing touchdowns in the NFC Championship game, which tied an all-time record. Shout out to the Birds, definitely doing that. Just shows you how dominant that running game has been this year. 55 points, most in the NFC Championship game all time. And actually, the Eagles were 3 points shy of their all-time record, which was 58 points in a postseason game. So just shows you the level and the height and energy that they were playing with. Like I say, the defense was outstanding. 4 turnovers, 3 fumble recoveries, 1 interception. Got to give them props for that. You know, and like I said, I want to definitely make sure I state that, you know, Washington deserves a lot of credit getting to this point. You know, 30 years since their last NFC Championship game appearance. That young quarterback had them playing well. The defense played admirably. However, they just show that they're not good. They're not as good as a team. They're not physical yet. And to keep in mind, Jaden Daniels was 29-48, 255 yards, touchdown, and interception. You know, he took a couple of sacks. You know, he had injuries along the offensive line. So, you know, nobody's knocking that kid. He played well. And he was the leading rusher. What a shock. You know, he's been that for them all year. Zach Ertz had 11 catches for 104 yards. Mr. Reliable again. Terry McLaurin, 3 catches, 51 yards. Obviously, he had the 1 touchdown. Denami Brown, 3 for 42. You know, Zacchaeus, 4 for 26. You know, Luke McCaffrey didn't even get a touch. He had a target. They gotta get him another guy out there on the outside. Definitely gotta give him another guy. Speaking of their pass catchers, I want to definitely give a shout out to Dallas Goedert as well. He had 7 for 85. Smitty had 4 for 45. So, you know, the pass catchers were definitely out there making plays. Like I said, it was overall a very, very good game. I'm very, very happy about how this defense played. They got 3 sacks. Like I said, it was 4 tackles for a loss, 4 turnovers. Just outstanding performance. And I end this video, most importantly, with the biggest thank you to the New York Giants. You are literally the most incompetent franchise ever. I thank you for allowing Saquon Barkley to walk. I thank your GM, Joe Shane, for saying that, you know, he needed to retool this roster and keeping Saquon didn't make sense because for us, it has been a godsend and a breath of fresh air. And I am just ecstatic to say that Saquon Barkley is an Eagle and that we are at this point. There's still 1 more game to go. I'll definitely have some film to watch and do an analysis video for the Eagles and Chiefs for the Super Bowl. We already know all the commentators and everybody's going to pick the Chiefs, and understandably so. 2-time defending champions have an opportunity to repeat history. But I like our odds. Strictly because I know Steve Spagnuolo, former Eagles, defensive assistant coach. I know he's going to have a beautiful game plan drawing up to try to stop this rushing attack and to try to stop Jalen Hurts. But we also know for a fact, too, he tried this with Jalen Hurts the last time. So we can't turn over the ball. You know, that was essentially the difference in the last Super Bowl. You know, Jalen had that fumble, we turned the ball over. That essentially, you know, Chiefs were able to get momentum in the second half. That kind of changed that game. But we shall see this time. But, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Like I said, NFC Championship Game edition. I thank you guys, as always, for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Take care, and fly, Eagles, fly.